Where? To jail, of course. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, go directly to jail. Bob had gotten away with almost a dozen murders, and she hadn't even been able to get away with one. Of course he had planned his, and with an accountant's attention to detail. She didn't know where she'd slipped up, but it would undoubtedly turn out to be something obvious. Officer Shrewsbury would tell her on the way to the police station. It would be like the last chapter of an Elizabeth George. My house, he said. You're staying with me and Arlene tonight. She gaped at him. I can't. You can, he said, in a voice that brooked no argument. She'd kill me if I left you here by yourself. Do you want to be responsible for my murder? She wiped tears from her face and smiled wanly. No, I guess not. But, Officer Shrewsbury. Harry. I have to make phone calls. My children. They don't know yet. The thought of this brought on fresh tears, and she put the last of the paper towels to work on them. Who knew a person could have so many tears inside them? She hadn't touched her coffee and now drank half of it in 3 long swallows, although it was still hot. I think we can stand the expense of a few long-distance calls, Harry Shrewsbury said. And listen. Do you have something you can take? Anything of a, calming nature? Nothing like that, she whispered. Only Ambien. Then Arlene will loan you one of her Valiums, he said. You should take one at least half an hour before you start making any stressful calls. Meantime, I'll just let her know we're coming. You're very kind. He opened first one of her kitchen drawers, then another, then a third. Darcy felt her heart slip into her throat as he opened the fourth. He took a dishwiper from it and handed it to her. Sturdier than paper towels. Thank you, she said. So much. How long were you married, Mrs. Anderson? 27 years, she said. 27, he marveled. God. I am so sorry. So am I, she said, and lowered her face into the dish towel. 18. Robert Emery Anderson was laid to rest in Yarmouth's Peace Cemetery 2 days later. Donnie and Petra flanked their mother as the minister talked about how a man's life was but a season. The weather had turned cold and overcast, a chilly wind rattled the leafless branches. B. VA had closed for the day, and everyone had turned out. The accountants in their black overcoats clustered together like crows. There were no women among them. Darcy had never noticed this before. Her eyes brimmed and she wiped at them periodically with the handkerchief she held in one black-gloved hand. Petra cried steadily and without let-up. Donnie was red-eyed and grim. He was a good-looking young man, but his hair was already thinning, as his father's had at his age. As long as he doesn't put on weight like Bob did, she thought. And doesn't kill women, of course. But surely that kind of thing wasn't hereditary. Was it? Soon this would be over. Donnie would stay only a couple of days. It was all the time he could afford to take away from the business at this point, he said. He hoped she could understand that, and she said of course she did. Petra would be with her for a week, and said she could stay longer if Darcy needed her.